In a quiet village on the edge of the African savannah, there lived a lively, curious little girl named Nia. She was 8 years old, with bright, curious eyes that seemed to sparkle with the fire of 1,000 questions. While Nia's mind overflowed with wonder, her parents, Tunda and Aisha, were often too distracted by their busy lives to notice. It wasn't that they didn't love her. They did, in their way. But they were forgetful, constantly preoccupied with the demands of their work and social obligations. Nia had grown used to packing her own lunches, brushing off small disappointments, and telling herself that one day they would pay more attention. But nothing prepared her for the day when her parents forgot her entirely. The evening sun cast long shadows across the dusty schoolyard. Children's laughter faded into the distance as one by one, parents arrived to pick up their children. Nia sat under the wide branches of a towering baobab tree, her satchel resting at her feet. "Don't worry, they'll come," she whispered to herself. The school bell had rung hours ago, and now the teachers were locking up. The headmistress, Mama Zola, a kindly woman with a deep voice and a no-nonsense demeanor, approached her. "Nia, child, why are you still here?" Mama Zola asked, frowning. "My parents, they must be running late," Nia replied, forcing a smile. Mama Zola shook her head. "This isn't right. Let me walk you home." But Nia knew her parents wouldn't like it if a teacher showed up at their door unannounced. They valued their image in the community too much. "It's okay, Mama Zola. They'll be here soon." Reluctantly, Mama Zola left, locking the school gates behind her. "Be safe, child," she said, her voice heavy with concern. As the last of the footsteps faded into silence, Nia realized she was completely alone. The soft rustle of leaves and the occasional cry of a bird were the only sounds. The shadows of the baobab tree seemed to stretch farther and darker as the sun disappeared below the horizon. Just as the first stars began to twinkle in the sky, Nia heard the faint crunch of footsteps on the gravel path. She turned quickly, her heart pounding. Standing by the locked school gates was a tall figure cloaked in black. His face was obscured by a wide-brimmed hat, and around his neck hung a medallion that shimmered faintly in the moonlight. "Little one," the man said, his voice smooth and honeyed, "why are you here all alone?" Nia felt a chill run down her spine. Something about him didn't feel right. She clutched her satchel tightly. "My parents are coming," she said, her voice trembling slightly. The man chuckled, a low, unsettling sound. "Parents who leave their child alone at night? That doesn't sound very caring." He stepped closer, his medallion glowing brighter with each step. "But don't worry, little one. I can take you home." "No, thank you," Nia said firmly, stepping back. The man tilted his head, as if amused. "Oh, I insist." Without another word, Nia turned and bolted toward the back of the schoolyard. Her small feet pounded against the ground as she ran, her breath coming in quick gasps. But when she rounded the corner, her heart sank. The man was already there, leaning casually against the wall, his medallion gleaming. "You cannot outrun me, child," he said, his voice tinged with a hint of menace. Desperate, Nia looked around and spotted the old well at the edge of the schoolyard. It was said to be haunted, a portal to the spirit world. Elders often warned children to stay away from it, but Nia had no choice. She darted toward the well, her fear drowned by the pounding of her heart. Reaching the edge, she leaned over and shouted into the darkness below, "Spirits of the well, hear me! Please, help me!" For a moment there was silence. Then a cold breeze swept through the air, and a faint melodic voice rose from the depths. "Who dares disturb the well of whispers?" "It's me, Nia," she cried, tears streaming down her face. "I'm in danger, please help me." The voice grew louder, more commanding. "Help comes at a price, child. What will you offer in return?" "Anything," Nia cried without hesitation. The voice chuckled, deep and resonant. "Very well. Leap into the well and you shall be safe." With the stranger closing in, Nia took a deep breath and jumped. She expected to hit water, but instead, she landed softly on a bed of moss. Blinking, she looked around and found herself in a shimmering forest unlike anything she had ever seen. The trees sparkled like diamonds, and the air hummed with a gentle melody. A tall, radiant figure stepped forward. Her skin shimmered like the moon, and her eyes glowed with an inner light. She wore a flowing gown made of starlight, and her hair cascaded like a river of silver. "Welcome, child," the figure said. "I am Nyoka, the guardian of this realm." Nia stared in awe. "Are you a spirit?" Nyoka smiled. "Some call me that, others call me a guide. But tell me, why have you come?" Nia recounted her encounter with the cloaked man, her voice trembling. Nyoka's expression darkened. "The one who pursued you is no ordinary man," she said. "He is a shadow collector, a being who feeds on fear and steals the light of innocent souls. He seeks children like you, bright, pure, and full of life." Nia shivered. "How can I stop him?" Nyoka reached into the folds of her gown and produced a small, glowing orb. "This is a fragment of my power," she said. "It will protect you, but only if you use it wisely. The collector is cunning and relentless. You must be brave, Nia." Nia took the orb, feeling its warmth seep into her hands. "Thank you, Nyoka. I won't let you down." With a wave of Nyoki's hand, Nia found herself back in the schoolyard. The cloaked man was waiting for her, his medallion glowing brighter than before. "You think you can escape me?" he snarled, his voice dripping with anger. "You are mine." Nia clutched the glowing orb, her fear replaced by a newfound determination. The collector raised his hand, and the shadows around him began to twist and writhe, forming monstrous shapes that loomed over her. But Nia didn't flinch. Closing her eyes, she focused on the warmth of the orb. She thought of her parents, her home, and the love she still held for them despite their flaws. The orb grew brighter and brighter until it erupted in a blinding flash of light. The shadows screamed and dissolved into nothingness. The collector staggered back, his medallion cracking and shattering. With a final guttural cry, he vanished into the night. The next morning, Nia's parents arrived in a panic, their faces pale with guilt. They hugged her tightly, promising never to neglect her again. But something had changed in Nia. She no longer felt the same sadness and longing that had once filled her heart. She had faced the darkness and emerged stronger. From that day on, Nia often visited the old well, leaving offerings of flowers and water. She never forgot the guardian who had saved her and the lesson she had learned, that courage and light could overcome even the deepest shadows. As for the collector, the villagers whispered of his defeat, and his name became a cautionary tale for children. "Beware the shadows, but fear not, for even the smallest light can banish the darkness."